We went to a bar for the first time last week, and it was the strangest experience. We were all sat there like, we can all socialize and talk to each other again. Like,
But what is socializing? I don't know. So obviously happier is what we're going to be talking about mostly. Congratulations. But just before we do, I wanted to talk a little bit about the band first.
yeah,
Um, so you've been around for a while, and you've kind of stuck to your guns in terms of, like when people tell you to go poppier, you're like, no thanks. So like, I just wanted to know why you feel so strongly about doing things your way.
well, all of us, so we all have very, very different music styles, but we've always had a very specific As December Falls sound. So we love having those poppy riffs, but with the really rocky drums. We think that's a great sound for us. We love how it sounds, but it's one of those things where everyone obviously always has their opinion. So we've been told, I remember at the beginning, we kept getting told, oh, you need to be a bit heavier, more rockier, more guitars, more drums. And we were a bit like, well, we're doing what we're doing. Let's just leave it for now, because that was when we first started. And then the more we've gone on, the amount of people who are like, why aren't you using loads of synths? And why aren't you just putting out like generic pop tunes? Because your singer is like, she's quite a poppy singer. Why is she not doing that? And it's just not our style at all. Like we don't enjoy that. As in my favorite band is My Chemical Romance. So I love the emo atmosphere. I just think it's a great place for us to be. We feel like there's room there. We're all strong believers that emo is on a huge comeback as well. So we're sticking to our guns there.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And it's so funny you mentioned that, because there were moments where I was listening to Happier and I kind of thought, oh, that's a My Chemical Romance riff in there. Like I can tell, I can pick it up. But then I was like, I'm not going to say that just in case. Because, some people don't like being compared to My Chem, and I don't get that.
No, I take that as a full compliment completely.
Well, you're very welcome. So my next question, I guess, would be if you were offered management now and they came to you saying, we don't want to change a thing. This is perfect. We love this. Would you take that? Or are you a bit reluctant now that you've built this whole thing on your own?
I mean, we do now have management. We work with Jim Fruit from Seven West Music. So he is great, because the reason we actually accepted him and like, actually, we do want to work with you, is because when he came to us, he was like, I don't know why you guys haven't been picked up yet, because you guys are so current. You are going to get there. I can feel it. And we were kind of just sat there like, well, this is nice to hear, because we have never had anyone approach us with that. We've always had managers who come at us and they're like, well, I can deal with all your social media. And it's like, we don't need help with our social media. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, we can get you on this, but you have to give us such and such money. We need this every month. And it has never, ever been a good deal. Whereas when Jim has came to us, it sounded legit. We don't feel like we're being fooled in any way. Whereas obviously in the music industry, that kind of happens. Because obviously we're quite a small band. We're not out there yet. We've never had that backing. We haven't had anyone behind us. We've never had a team. So to finally have someone give us that support, it's pretty great. It's awesome. So
that's great. And that's what you need. You need someone to come in and just fully back who you are.
Yeah. Like actually appreciate our music and say, actually, you guys are awesome. We're just going to keep pushing you guys exactly the way you are going. So it's nice to hear that we've been doing something right the whole time.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think speaking of current, like I think there is a bit of a shift, and we're going to talk a bit of feminism now. There is definitely a shift in sort of representation, female representation in pop punk, I think, at the minute. But I feel like a lot of that is American, and I still don't feel like there's a ton of UK pop punk bands that, are making waves. So how do you feel being one of those people?
I am so excited to be a part of that. And especially, as you said, being a female in this industry, it is not easy. You do have to fight a lot harder to get things that you want. But I love that. I love that at the end of the day, I know that everything I get, I have worked for. And I know that out there, people are going to find me, they're going to appreciate us as a band, they're going to love it. But I completely know what you mean. Other than, I think obviously there's Hot Milk out there at the minute and they are incredible. But other than that, I'm not actually sure there is that many UK pop punk bands out there at the minute. They're all like from Australia and from America. So it feels nice. It gives us kind of that unique edge. Like, yes, we are UK pop punk. We are female fronted. So yeah, I'm excited, if anything.
And it is, I think now is a good time. I mean, we're still not there yet. Like there's a lot of work to be done, but just knowing we're on that precipice where like female, like if you are a female fronted band, it's not like its own thing anymore. It's not like, oh, they're female fronted. It's like an actual integration, I think.
Yeah.
Well, that's fingers crossed, like it all changes really quickly now. So on to Happier. It's all self-funded, right?
Yeah, done everything ourselves for it.
Well, I read through the press release and I thought, why didn't they crowdfund? Which is my question. Why did you feel like you had to kind of do it off your own back instead of, getting the crowdfunding?
That's fine. So we did do, I can't remember what it was called. It was some kind of crowdfund thing. I don't know what platform it was on, but we did that for our first ever EP, and it went really well. But we've kind of gone along the lines of when we got to that point when we were like, right, we need to record our second album. We know that we want a much bigger budget for it. We sat there, and I think we sat there in a room for like a full day just figuring out everything we would need to pay for, trying to figure out rough estimates, which of course was way under, and then we ended up spending much more, as you always do. And we just kind of we kept going through all of our different payment options, and we were like, obviously if a label came to us, they'd just give us some money, but then we were like, no, because then we're tied into some kind of deal. And then we went with, oh, we could try crowdfunding. But then we were like, we just kind of went in our hearts and we were like, no, because we're going to keep releasing our merch and all our fans are amazing. They support us so much. And like, I think like we released a t-shirt last week and we've already sold out of them. And it's that ridiculous. So we were like, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're just going to keep giving them merch because that's how they want to support us, and we will just leave it at that. So we actually got out a loan for the band and we paid for it like that. But luckily, because we kept putting out merch, we managed to actually pay it off very quickly. But that's the only reason we didn't do crowdfunding, because we thought, we know that we've got plans for this t-shirt, this CD, this vinyl, this album, this show, this. Obviously we did get put on a bit of a halt with obviously COVID, because none of our tour budget came into that at all. So we thought we were going to get such and such over the period of the tour. That did not happen. So then we were behind because of that. But we got there, we're through it, we paid for everything, it's all done now. We finally finished recording music videos as well, so that's all sorted, and obviously that's a huge expense as well as the recording. But yeah, so we're there now.
That's good. That's the thing, I think, because that is another thing I read, is that the pre-orders already covered that loan. And I think it's the most amazing thing, like getting that back and knowing your fans are so supportive.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Well, I wanted to also touch on recording because you, like you said, this is your second album. So, what were some of the biggest differences in like approach? Did you do anything differently, or did you kind of approach it in the same way?
So this one was very, very different because we actually recorded it during COVID-19. So none of us could actually get together to like go over our parts or how it was going to sound. So we did all of our pre-production with our producer. So we worked with John Mitchell on this album. And we did all of our pre-production on Skype, on Zoom, on FaceTime to each other. So that was hilarious because it would literally be, we'd be listening to a song and everyone would have to mute themselves and listen to that specific section. And then we'd have to somehow understand the comments to exactly what part we were talking about. And so we did all the pre-production via video links, which was strange. And then when we actually recorded the album, we recorded it backwards. So we actually recorded the drums last, which I always find really strange because obviously your drums is your bass. That's like your rhythm throughout the whole thing. So we used like our really rubbish recorded MIDI drums. Oh, sorry, my cat is yeah, so we like had some programmed in drums and we literally just recorded to those and we were like, when Luke comes in, he'll come in and it'll make them amazing. So we all went in separately. So I think me, Timmy and Andy, we went up together. And we basically, because we had to spend 2 weeks before we went not being outside, not going to shop, not doing anything. Then we went in the studio together and we basically just all lived together for about 3 weeks. And then when we came back, we then had to isolate again for 2 weeks. So it was a very long process of not being outside a lot. But when we were there, it was just a case of, it was a lot nicer than the last album because this one, we were there, we were concentrating, we were living in it, like, even when we'd finished for the day, and by that I mean we'd finish recording at like 10, 11 at night, we wouldn't, whereas in our last album it would be like a 10 till 5 kind of thing and then that's it, it's done. Whereas this, because we were literally living in the studio, it was all music all the time for 3 weeks straight, which was, it was just nice to be there because you could actually sit and go, I don't like quite how that sounds. Can we please try this with a slightly different tone? So it was really nice to have that. But no, the approach was different. But I think the reason it was different is obviously because we were in COVID. So we had so many things stopping us from doing the things that we normally would, which is why we had to all go up separately. We all had to record our parts separately because we just couldn't all be together at any stage. So it was very difficult, but we got there, and it's the recording quality and the quality of the music, I think, is a massive step up to all of our last stuff. Like I absolutely love our last album so much. It will always have that place in my heart. It's like, oh, it's my first album. But this new one I can't really put it into words. It's really awesome. I love it. So
Well, that's good because you need, obviously, like each album's going to be special to you for a different reason, but you need that progression where you go, oh wow, look how much we've grown since our last album.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask about John Mitchell was my next question because he's obviously worked with some big like UK pop punk like Yumi at Sigler than Atlantis. Did you feel like it was a bit of a rite of passage almost to go, we're pop punk in UK, so we're going to work with this guy?
Yeah, to be honest, we did look around a lot at who we were going to work with, and then we were like, we really like this guy, but we've never met him. You don't know how you're gonna, because you have to get on with them. You have to be able to work with them. You don't obviously want any friction or anything while you're working in that close proximity on something that, because obviously you've got to give them something that you have been working on like we had been working on that for like a year before it even got to the studio. So we were giving them something, but we were like, we've been working on this. Like we don't want it to be ruined or anything. But equally, we need them to say that's not right. You need to try this kind of thing. So we did a test single with John Mitchell, and I think that was about 5 or 6 months before we actually went in to record the album. And when we did the test single, it all just clicked. Like everything worked. I was really worried because I've only ever recorded vocals with Arthur Walwyn, who did our last album. And before I was in As Summer Falls, I was fairly new to music industry. I'd never recorded a song before in a studio. So I was a bit worried, like, I don't know how this is going to work, because as much as like love singing, but I am so bad at harmonies, right? Like so bad, like I can't figure them out. It's terrible. And I'm not afraid to admit that I know I'm really bad at it. And that's one of the reasons I loved working with Arthur in the past, because he knew that I wasn't very good at that and he'd help me out. But luckily walked in, John Mitchell was like, oh, I can sing, I can play guitar, I can do this. So the minute I walked in, he was like, right, so I realised that you can't do harmonies. I was like, yeah, no, I can't do harmonies. And he was like, that's fine, we'll do it all together. And it was just like a weight had just been lifted off of your chest. And then obviously he had all his stories, and he was like, don't worry, obviously I won't say names, but he was like, such and such, they can't do harmonies either, don't worry, you're not alone. And I was like, oh, thank goodness for that. Like but yeah, it was like love at first sight with John Mitchell. Everything just clicked together. We got on like house on fire, and it was just a really nice environment to be working in.
That's great. And that's what you need, isn't it? You need to feel comfortable, and you need to feel like that person gets you.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, the next question is actually, again, pop punk related. And it was more just listening to pop punk now. I feel like more and more people are actually going, we don't need guitars in pop punk. So why do you think it is that there's this shift away from it, and it's almost becoming sort of more poppy than it is pop punk?
I'm not gonna lie, I think it's just because it's gonna be one of those things where music it's gonna like wax and wane, isn't it? So things that are in style in 5 years' time are no longer gonna be in style, and then it's gonna keep ebbing and flowing. It's like fashion. Like at the minute they're bringing back shoulder pads and things, and I was like, okay, right, it's cool. So now we're having shoulder pads again. Like, I honestly think that's all it is. Like, and as I said earlier, I'm strong believer that emo guitar music is definitely on its way back, because especially with like Machine Gun Kelly's new album that he brought out, I think that's definitely opened a big gap, and everyone's going, oh, actually this sounds really cool. And with lockdown and everyone's gone, oh, I'm bored, what should I do? Oh, I know, I've got that guitar that was laying around, I'm going to play the guitar again. So I really think it's on a comeback. But we've just never, we like guitars because like obviously we've all grown up with pop punk, but it's like our lead guitarist Andy, like he's a proper classic guitar head. Basically he will constantly sit there playing Guns N' Roses all day every day. So I don't think there was ever going to be a moment when we were going to not have our guitars going on, because we love them too much. We've worked so hard on getting the sound that we want from the guitars, and we just love it. And as I said, I think it's on its way back anyway, so I think pretty soon it's going to be weird to have synths again. So
yeah, it is just like a constant thing, isn't it? It just keeps changing and keeps changing. And it's so funny that you mentioned Machine Gun Kelly, because I thought that was such a good album. I think that was the pop punk album no one expected.
Exactly. No, we have been listening to it on repeat. Like we have an office at home, and every morning I'll come downstairs after having a shower and it will just be absolutely blaring out of the speakers. And I'm like, right, so we're having another Machine Gun Kelly morning, I see. Like,
Strange, but really good. Especially the new song as well, the one with Kellen Quinn. I forget what it's called now, but that's really good as well.
Yeah, no, I love that one. And it helps because I'm a huge Kellen Quinn fan, so that's always helpful.
Okay, back to you. And this is probably the last couple of questions. I know we're probably cutting in on time already, but listening through Happier, I did feel like, you touch on a lot of like sort of heavier subjects or things that you'd normally think of as sad, like a heartbreak or social anxiety. There's a lot in there, but somehow it seems really empowering and it seems really uplifting. And did you feel, I guess the question is, did you feel for it to be more of a positive outlook was important instead of, just touching on really heavy matters?
Yeah, that is honestly exactly what I was trying to do. So there are a lot of topics throughout the Happier album that it is kind of a lot darker than our usual, what we've done in the past. Because obviously, like on our last album, we were singing about having no money, we were singing about our favorite bar, and like it was all very sort of youthful topics, I'd say. Whereas we've got older, we've experienced a lot more now, and especially with lockdown and everything, it's like everything was coming in, but I didn't want it to sound like, oh, woe is me, I'm sad. Like, I'm just going to tell you I'm sad. Like, I wanted it, as you said, to be empowering. So it's like, one of my favorite songs on the album is, I can't even remember what it's called now. One of my favorite ones. No, it's called One Last Song. And I absolutely love that tune. So basically it's all about the music industry and how I'm basically going, I just need someone at any point just to be like, yes, we like you, let's absolutely go for it. And it's sort of, the lyrics kind of feel like I'm giving up, but I am not in any way giving up. I'm actually empowering myself to say, even if I've got one last song, this is it. And then obviously you touched on like the social anxiety. It's me saying, yes, you can suffer from that, but it's going to get better. You're going to find something that's going to pull you through. It may feel really crap right now, but that's okay. That it's fine to feel like that. I'm a strong believer of, if you are feeling sad, you be sad. If you're feeling angry, be angry. Whatever you're feeling, just feel it. You'll get past it, and then you'll get to where you want to be. And that's always been my opinion. It's what I say on stage. It's what I say to fans. It's what I say to everyone. I just want everyone to feel how they should feel, because I know that no matter what, they are going to get through it. They just need something that they can grab onto to get them to the other side.
Yeah. Well, that's really good, because I feel like, it's so hard sometimes if you do struggle with anything. Like if you struggle with anxiety, it's really hard to talk about it. But once you do, you actually feel so much better for it.
Yeah. Well, I was so nervous singing some of these songs to my band. Like, I remember when I came out with Fake Company, and they all just kind of looked at me afterwards for a bit, and I was like, yeah. And they were like, are you okay? And I'm like, yes, I'm fine. And they're like, are you sure you want this to be sort of on our album? Because it's gonna be touched on, it's gonna be talked about. And I was like, I know it is, but as much as that is something difficult for me to talk about, and it makes you feel a bit vulnerable, but if I'm open about it, it will make other people be open about it. And as soon as you are, it does make you feel better. Like, I feel great knowing that song is on the album and that people are going to hear it. People are going to know that, yes, you can feel crap, but you're going to get better. It's going to be great. Like, don't worry.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing I was going to say. And you just said it, that, you need to be, it's obviously a vulnerable thing to go, hey, this
Yeah.
is what's going on with me. But I think, you know, it's not a new thing saying we need to have a conversation, because it's true. We need to have a conversation. And once
Yeah.
everyone gets comfortable and talks about it, you know, we'll all feel better. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a brave thing to do, but you know, it's a good thing to do.
Yeah. Well, because all it takes is like, all it takes is for one fan to say, I love that song because I relate to it so much. And that's just one person who I have slightly helped by giving them that moment of weakness from me. But if any, and that's a really bad way of putting it. It's not in any way weakness. It's just a moment of it's okay to not feel okay all the time. And that's that.
Exactly. Um, okay, well, we're nearly at the end. With a little bit of luck, you might be able to actually tour this album, I mean.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
how does that feel? I can see from the excitement in your eyes that you're that you can't wait.
I am. I can't explain to anyone how excited I am, because my favorite part about this band is touring, because I love playing shows. I love meeting the fans. I love, it's my favorite part. It always will. Even if I have to spend days on end in a disgusting van with a drum kit and like 10 guys, like it's fine, it's fine. It's by far my favorite part. I think we will be announcing it very, very soon. I think we've just got a couple of venues that we need to confirm with them that we can actually book it in. But because I think people aren't quite back in the office when it comes to venues, so we're just waiting on some replies. But we're hoping to go on tour at the end of the year, so in November and December. And then we've also got some dates carrying over to 2022 in January and February. So it's just because we obviously had all the dates booked in last year, so we've gone, right, we need to book in all of our previous dates, and we want a new tour booked in there as well. So basically, the end of the year, we're going to be out there. We're going to be touring. Every single show has been rebooked, so you should hear about that very soon. So
Good. So this is a bit of a insider scoop then, like we heard it first.
yes.
Um, and then just the last thing, absolute last thing, is you played and recorded the album in full, didn't you? So you're going to be streaming that, am I right?
Yes, yeah. So it's all been live recorded, live filmed. Everything is live, but it's all been pre-recorded basically. So we've recorded it all live, and then we've put it in a live stream, and we are going to be giving that to everyone as an album launch. Just because, again, with the current climate, we don't want to book in an album launch show and then have to cancel it because we can't have that many people there. So with it being online, it's just a great way that literally everyone can get involved. So we've already sold quite a ridiculous amount of tickets, which is absolutely incredible. And it's from people all over the world, which again, I'm so excited about, because if we were doing an album launch show, we wouldn't be able to have people from America and New Zealand like tuning in for it. So yeah, we're doing an album launch show. It's absolutely awesome. I've watched like a very sneaky peek of it, just to make sure that it sounds okay. So I've had a quick look. It looks absolutely incredible. We had our old guitarist Will Brown. He actually did the lights for us and everything. So it looks amazing. It sounds amazing. It's really cool. It's really exciting. You should definitely get a ticket and join in. It's really good.
Oh, well, yeah, that's I didn't write that down. That's the 7th of August, is it?
Yes, I
It's
believe so.
early August anyway, but we'll put the details in. I don't know why
Yeah.
I'm pointing. It's not going there. It's going somewhere. It's on the page. Scroll down. I don't know where it is. But thank you. Exactly. Just look for it.
Before we were in, I like wrote down like a load of dates, and the one date that I didn't write down is when the album is. So.
Oh gosh. Well, just give me another date. What's another date you wrote down?
Oh, we've got our latest single coming out on Friday, which I believe is the 23rd. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we've got a new single coming out. It's
First,
awesome.
maybe.
Oh, 21st. There we go.
I got you.
But yeah, so that is coming out with. I'm very excited about the next one that's coming out, and I feel like everyone is going to love it. So